What's up, beautiful people? It's your girl Oluwatesin Abiodun Leaks, aka Tessin Leaks, aka Auntie Tisa. Welcome to Plant Path Podcast, your choice of for book reviews and crucial conversations. We've been doing book reviews on our podcast, Plant Path Podcast, since 2021. What we do is to review books for you, prompt you to read, or give you summaries of books, and we discuss topical issues in education. Okay, so I want us to today, we started a book review last week, and it's the book review of John C. Maxwell's How Successful People Win. Okay, this book is available for sale on our website. You can click the link on our Instagram bio, plantpath_edu, or you can use the link in the description on this platform you are watching from to get this book available for delivery nationwide. Okay, so and we have other amazing books. How Successful People Win. Last week we spoke about what successful people know, and if you've not listened to that book review, that episode, you should go listen to it immediately. On the norms, I would have probably started reviewing another book, but this year we are trying something different. We want to do in-depth reviews of books. So today I'm going to read to you chapter 2 of this book, Cultivate Humility, the Spirit of Learning. Have you noticed how easily successful people seem to bounce back from losses? They learn from them and they become even better than they were before. Meanwhile, other people seem to fail, fall, and never get back up again. After they experience something negative, you can actually see the downward spiral starting. And no matter how much you want to help them, you can't. They just don't learn from their mistake. What is the difference between these two kinds of people? I believe it isn't due to timing, social status, the degree of adversity, or anything else outside their control. The difference is on the inside, is the spirit of an individual. Those who profit from adversity possess a spirit of humility and are therefore inclined to make the necessary changes needed to learn from their mistakes, failures, and losses. They stand in stark contrast to prideful people who are unwilling to allow adversity to be their teacher and as a result fail to learn. Pride goes before a fall. This is very essential because it is inevitable that we are all going to fail in life. We are all going to fail, obviously. But what determines whether we become successful? You see people that, like I always tell people, like I know somebody, an adult man, in fact, in his 60s, that made his first million when he was 60, right about that time, in his 60s. And even people that, I think this man that started KFC, they started late, pretty later in life, and they failed over and over again, but they've learned to be humble, get back up, and learn from their mistakes. And this is a very powerful habit, especially for we young people. If you aim to be very successful in life in the long run, we are going to fail ultimately, but the important thing is learning how to stand up from our failures. Humility. I was telling you guys something last week. I always say, if you've not listened to that last week episode, please go listen to it. That I made some decisions 2 years ago. They were good, they helped me learn, but they were not good economically, or they currently don't look like economically profiting. And I'm humble. I'm currently looking for a job, man. I'm currently looking for other opportunities, other sources of income, because my business cannot currently sustain me. Maybe a grant comes or businesses come, you understand? Maybe they can encourage me. Yeah, but I'm learning that I'm a successful person in my own right. I'm humble to also learn, which is very important. That's what this chapter is about today. Be humble. Oh, that thing you learned, it wasn't good. Switch another thing. I heard a story of somebody that was doing graphic designing. It's somebody that he knew, right? That he had even thought graphic designing. That came to meet me that, Ogami, I've moved to product design now. Do you want to learn? And then he learned, and that's how his life just turned around. From what he knew, his consistency over the years just started paying off. And he started learning something new. So look at yourself. That your career, is it paying you off? If it's not paying, or you switch a career before, if it's not working, switch into something else. Grow, learn. Successful people learn from their failures. I don't know why I'm moving with this kind of energy today. Pride goes before a fall. Everyone experiences adversity. Some people are made humble by it. Others are made hard. And they carry that spirit with them everywhere they go. For those who allow themselves to become hard, that's tragic because it's very difficult for a hard person to learn anything. Israel Taft Benton observed, pride is concerned about who is right. Humility is concerned about what's right. That's a pretty accurate description. Pride causes people to justify themselves even when they know they are wrong. And that's just the start. Take a look at the negative impact pride can have on a person. Blame. Instead of taking responsibility, prideful people blame others. Denial. Instead of being objective and realistic, they don't face reality. Closed-mindedness. Instead of being open-minded and receptive, prideful people are defensive and opposed to new ideas. Rigidity. Instead of being flexible, prideful people are rigid. Insecurity. Prideful people inflict themselves and deflate others because they are insecure. Isolation. Instead of being connected, prideful people find themselves out of touch with themselves, their families, their communities, their clients and customers. Do any of those descriptions apply to you? I'm sorry to say that in my formative years of leadership, I did not possess the humility needed to fill me with the spirit of learning. In fact, I was just the opposite. I was prideful, I was competitive, and I always wanted to win. And when I won, I was insufferable. If I beat someone, I told him I won. And I told everyone he knew that I had won. I put everyone on edge. And worse is that I wasn't even aware of it. I didn't realize how unteachable I was until my friends gave me a red t-shirt that read, "It's hard to be humble when you are as great as I am." Everyone laughed as they presented it to me, but internally I suspected they were trying to speak truth into my life. Later, I went to one of those presenters and asked if I was really that way. "Yes," she said, "women can be observant though. If you make good use of your girlfriends, they can be very observant." "Yes," she said, "that's who you are, but we love you and know you can change." Good. That opened my eyes. Her kind words connected with me and convicted me, and I decided to try to change my attitude from expert to learner. That decision that took a long time to implement, 2 or 3 years. Arrogant people don't get humble quickly, but it was the beginning of a change in me, a desire to embrace a humility that makes learning possible. I'm still confident, but I work every day to keep that confidence from becoming a barrier to my ability to learn. Recently I started reading a lot of academic papers because people can look at you, "Oh, anything education, doesn't knows it," but I asked myself, do you really know? Like, I saw someone's interview a few days ago. I was like, nah, this person actually knows this thing, but this person is not grounded enough. Like, this person is torturing. I can't see fact in what this person is saying, you understand? And that's how I don't want to be the kind of person that you're high there, up there, and you, like Apostle Joshua Samuel said, you have an empty head. You seem to know you are speaking plenty English, but not so much substance. So you have to be humble. I think that's going to help us a lot this year. You may already be a humble person who possesses the spirit of learning. If so, that's fantastic. But if you don't, here is the good news. You can change. If I did, then you can too. If you are not sure where you stand in regard to humility, if your friends haven't given you a t-shirt, then perhaps this can help you. Kirk Hansen, university professor and executive director of the Maxwell Center for Applied Ethics at Santa Clara University, offers a list of characteristics exhibitable by unteachable leaders. He says these characteristics are often the Achilles heels of leaders. I believe they also apply to everyone who does not possess the spirit of learning. I have altered his points slightly, stating them as questions so that you can ask yourself which apply to you. Do you tend to believe you know it all? I don't know, eh? Do you tend to think you should be in charge? No. Sometimes I think that it may be more effective for me to be in charge, especially if they are not capable hands. But if they are capable hands, I'm very okay with taking the back burner. Do you tend to think you should be in charge? Do you sometimes believe the rules don't apply to you? No. Do you believe you shouldn't fail? I should fail. Do you tend to believe you get things done all by yourself? No, I need people. Do you believe you are better than others with less talent or status? No. In fact, they are better in a lot of ways than I am. And it doesn't even matter who is better actually. Do you think you are as important as or more important than the organization? Let me take that again. Do you think you are as important as or more important than the organization? I'm important in the grand scheme of things. If you answer yes to many of these questions, you may not possess the spirit of learning. God help me. Please don't be discouraged if you haven't gotten off to a bad start. Please don't be discouraged. If you have gotten off to a bad start, don't worry. You can change. Remember, it's the finish, not the start, that counts most in life. How the right spirit helps you to learn. Humility is foundational to all people who learn from their wins and losses. It is a key to success at the highest level. What, you may be thinking? I disagree. I can name a dozen people who have achieved big things with arrogant attitudes. So can I. But what might they have achieved had they possessed the spirit of learning? Oh, bruh, this is so good. Let me take it again. What, you may be thinking? I disagree. I can name a dozen people who have achieved big things with arrogant attitudes. So can I. But what might they have achieved had they possessed the spirit of learning? Like, what if they possess the spirit of learning? They are great now. What if they possess the spirit of learning? They would have done better, of course. Perhaps they would have been even greater, yes. Humility opens the door to learning and to even higher levels of achievement. Yes, why? So we are going to finish this chapter today. It's quite lengthy, but let's finish it. Humility allows us to possess a true perspective of ourselves and life. Author and business consultant Ken Blanchard says, humility doesn't mean you think less of yourself. It means you think of yourself less. Humility doesn't mean you think less of yourself. It means that you think of yourself less. When we are focused too much on ourselves, we lose perspective. Humility allows us to gain perspective and see the bigger picture. It makes us realize that while we may be in the picture, we are not the entire picture. Yes. When we possess the spirit of pride rather than humility, it clouds our view of ourselves and the world around us. When lack of humility makes us out of tune within ourselves, the world gets out of focus. We lose perspective and have difficulty learning. How can we discover our shortcomings or the things we need to learn when we can't see them? Humility opens our eyes and broadens our view. Because we aren't focused on justifying ourselves or looking good, we have better judgment. Baseball great Leo Brock said, "Show me a guy who is afraid to look bad, and I will show you a guy you can beat every time." Why? Because his eyes are close to everything around him. An accurate view of ourselves is difficult to obtain and even harder to keep. Humility helps. Humility fosters an agenda of seeing things as they really are, of learning, and of the desire to improve. When pride fosters close-mindedness and always where pride fosters close-mindedness and always seeks to justify itself, humility fosters open-mindedness Humility fosters open-mindedness and a desire to improve. Humility puts things in perspective. Humility puts things in perspective, and if we let it, it also helps us to have a better sense of humor. Humility enables us to learn and grow in the face of losses. When people are humble enough to have a clear and realistic view of themselves, their vision is usually also clear and realistic when they face their mistakes, failures, and other losses. That ability to see clearly sets them up to learn and grow. Success lies not in eliminating our troubles and mistakes, but in growing through and with them. How does a humble person learn from mistakes? By pausing and reflecting. I strongly believe that experience isn't the best teacher. Evaluated experiences. Wise people are never afraid to admit they are wrong. When they do, it's as if they are saying they are wiser today than they were yesterday. And of course, there are other side benefits. As the great American novelist Mark Twain quipped, always acknowledge a fault frankly. This will show those in authority of their guard and give you an opportunity to commit more. Mistakes can often be our best teachers if we are willing to admit them and learn from them. We gain in knowledge and wisdom. We can do so if every time we take time to reflect on them by asking, what went wrong? When did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? Why did it go wrong? How did I contribute to making it go wrong? What can I learn from this experience? How can I apply what I've learned in the future? Asking such questions can be a slow and uncomfortable process, especially for action-oriented people, but it always pays off. Humility is filled with mistakes. Humility allows us to learn from them. Number 3, humility allows us to let go of perfection and keep trying. My grandson John, the son of my son Joel, and his wife Liz, is a wonderful child. I'll say that even if he weren't my grandchild. He's very smart, but he also tends to be a bit serious and perfectionistic. To help him with this, his parents bought him a book titled Mistakes That Worked by Charlotte Fort Jones. They read through it together, and it helps him to understand that he doesn't need to be perfect to be successful. In the book, Jones writes, call them accidents, call them mistakes, even serendipity. If the truth were known, we might be amazed by the number of great inventions and discoveries that were accidental, unplanned, and unintentional. The inventors mentioned in this book were not only smart, but also alert. It is easy to fail and then abandon the whole idea. It's more difficult to fail, but then recognize another use for the failure. The inventors and discoverers mentioned in this book should teach all of us the lesson stated best by Bertolt Brecht in 1930. Intelligence is not to make no mistake, but intelligence is not to make no mistakes, but quickly to see how to make them good. 4, and the last part, humility allows us to make the most out of our mistakes. That brings us to the final way that a humble spirit of learning helps us, by allowing us to make the most out of our mistakes and failures. When we are humble, we are open to seeing our mistakes as possibilities for innovation and success. If you bring the right spirit to your work, you can turn a mistake into an opportunity. Success and fame don't always come to the most talented people. Sometimes they come to the people who can turn adversity into advantage. Or as John Kenneth Galbraith says, if all else fails, immortality can always be assured by spectacular error. Novelist J.M. Barrie observed, the life of every man is a diary in which he means to write one story and write another. And his humblest hour is when he compares the volume as it is with what he vowed to make it. That has been true for me. In many ways, I've fallen short of what I would have liked to be and to do and be. However, in the hour when we compare what we desire to do and what we have actually done, if we are humble and open to the lessons life offers to teach us, we increase the odds of our success. And knowing that we have tried our best, perhaps we'll be content with what we've been able to become and to accomplish. Amen. So this is chapter 2 of the book, How Successful People Win, turn every setback into a step forward, by John C. Maxwell. And today we were talking about cultivating humility, the spirit of learning, as a habit of successful people, as a method to which successful people continue to win in life. So thank you for listening to this episode, and I'm going to wrap up with this last part of it. It says, if we are humble and open to the lessons life offers to teach us, we increase the odds of our success. And knowing that we have tried our best, perhaps we will be more content with what we've been able to become and accomplish. Thank you for listening to this episode. Make sure you share with your friends. This is a very good podcast to listen to. If I wasn't even the convener of Plant podcast, I would still listen and encourage people in my network to do so as well. So thanks for listening. Thanks for staying in tune. Share with your friends and make sure you listen to other amazing episodes from us as well. But as always, my name is Oluwatosin Abiodun Weeks. Have a wonderful week. See you next week by the grace of God. Bye.